Thank you for watching Life in Law with David and Ella Ham. This podcast is for general informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only and is not legal advice. David Ham is a Florida licensed attorney and member of the Florida Bar. Ella Ham is not an attorney and serves as the non-attorney office manager of Ham Law. Listening to or interacting with this podcast does not create an attorney-client relationship, and prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome. This podcast may be considered attorney advertising, and the hiring of a lawyer is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hello everybody, this is Ella Marie Ham, and I'm coming to you guys straight from the law office of David Lee Ham Jr. PA. Today is our fourth show. Today we will be, like promised, we're going to be talking about personal injury. I have a few questions people sent to us about personal injury, and thank you to all of you, our viewers who send those questions in order for us to be able to make the show very entertaining to you. Mr. Ham, the managing and as well as the owner of the law office of David Lee Ham Jr. PA. Can you believe today is our fourth show?
I do. So thank you very much for the introduction. Thank you all for being here. And we're very pleased to welcome you into our office once again. And this should be a very interesting and exciting show, this time about personal injury. Last time we spoke about criminal defense. And so let's talk about personal injury in the state of Florida. We had a
very big outcome with the criminal law defense thing.
Lots of interest.
A lot of interest.
Yeah.
People still asking questions about that. And then we also have people who stating that they wanted to come back because they have questions to be answered. So stay tuned. We will be able to give you some answer.
I think with all of these, 30 minutes is a very limited amount of time.
Exactly.
And so we're going to have future shows on all of these topics, and there will be a lot more in depth.
We got people who asked for it to be longer, but unfortunately we don't want it to be too long because we want people to keep their attention. So that's the reason why we're going to make it at least between 30 to 35 minutes.
So let's pace ourselves.
Exactly. Today is personal injury. What is personal injury?
Well, let's address the words. Personal injury. We are persons. We're talking about our physical body. And when there's harm, there's damage done, we call that an injury. And so we're looking at cases where damage or injury has been done to someone's physical body. There's also the emotional component as well. And it's someone else's fault. The law is a mechanism or provides a mechanism to redress that injury.
Today we see a bunch of a different type of personal injury. So for example, there's car accident, choking accident, dog bite, medical malpractice, wrongful death, and we just add nursing home abuse. So those are, can you tell me, the question we do have, how do you know which one is a valid personal injury claim?
Well, the mechanism of injury does not in itself tell you whether or not the case is valid or not. So all of those different examples you gave may have different sets of rules that apply. Say, for example, in medical malpractice cases, there are very rigorous, strict rules that apply in terms of how notice is given and all of the procedure that applies and what statute of limitations applies and so forth. But it does not in itself dictate the validity of a case or validity of injury. The most important thing to do with validity is the fact that your injury and your suffering is real. And as long as that is the case, you're going to need to take care of yourself as the first step, and then have a consultation, have full evaluation of your claim with an attorney who can dissect the facts in terms of how that accident, injury was caused, and in terms of what's needed to be able to prove that in court, and then to get compensation for the harm that was caused to you.
Thank you very much for answering that question. You really elaborate in explaining to the viewer the personal injury side. But the question I'm about to ask you is really related to the same question we just asked. So people ask, what should someone do immediately after a car accident or injury?
Immediately after an injury, the first thing to do is to look after your own health and ensure that you're well and take all necessary actions to prevent further injury and to be on the track to being well. Once you've had medical attention, you want to make sure that there's documentation, full documentation.
Take pictures.
Yes, absolutely. However, you can think of to capture the documentation in a way that you can present it to others. Take those steps. Do what's necessary to preserve that evidence of what happened.
One thing I see you do a lot is when there's a car accident, you go to the scene after you have the consultation, the person within us, you go to the scene. Can you tell the viewer the reason why you go to the scene of the accident?
Well, not just car accidents, but really when it comes to personal injury and legal matters, anything you can do to visualize and understand what took place, you need to do that, or that would be the best course of action. Putting yourself as an attorney, as an investigator, as an assistant into the scene is one of the best ways that you can pick up on facts and details that you might miss in a photograph. There may be other elements that you take in, other sensory elements that a photograph cannot produce, such as sounds and feelings of what happened.
You answered the question very delicately, and I have to say that. But one question, if you were asked, you said that how important it is for to be treated as in the personal injury case. How important it is for treatment.
So receiving medical treatment, following up with your appointments, all those visits is essential in a personal injury case because it provides documentation of the injury. It's something that's going to be highly scrutinized by the defense in the case. And the conclusion that they're going to want to draw is if you didn't show up at your appointments, you didn't seek treatment, then you weren't injured.
You were injured.
So how else are you going to document? How else are you going to know? But beyond providing that documentation, it's also very protective of your health to have medical professionals providing this treatment for you. It also creates a bit of a timeline, and this what is going to have to be proven to establish what those damages are. And so, and the final word on that is that you have to communicate well with your medical provider and demonstrate to them what these injuries are. There's a lot more that I want to say about that. Maybe it'll come up in other questions, but if it doesn't, I will bring it back up.
Okay, that sounds good. I like that. So, yeah, you're right, because we got, I would say in our office, about 35% of our cases load are personal injury, some type of personal injury, that's including car, dog bite, the way you just list you listed earlier. So, I have to agree 100%. It's really hard to get a good settlement for a client if they don't go to the doctor, if they not follow up with the doctor, because like you said, the other opposite party will definitely stating that, okay, if you don't get hurt, So what is the damage? So
Yeah.
that
Often they refer to this as gaps in treatment. We understand that there may be reasons for it because you're living your life, and it's also expensive
Exactly.
to seek this treatment and so forth. But it's important for building that record, building the documentation so that you can demonstrate it at the proper time, whether it be to an insurance adjuster, whether it be to the defense counsel, or whether it be in front of a jury. This information is super important that's provided in those medical records that result from it. And it also becomes part of the billing in the case.
So the common thing I see people, the reason a lot of them say that I don't want to go see the doctor because I do not have insurance. Can you tell them what is the LOP? Why you provide the letter of protection when there is a car accident?
Don't let the fact that you don't have health insurance stop you from getting the treatment that you need, from getting the health care that you need. There are other ways to go about doing so, and particularly in personal injury cases, there are other ways to get doctors to provide the medical services that you need, and there are doctors who will hold off on getting their payment until there is a recovery. So if you need additional information about that, we're happy to speak with you about that. There are rules and regulations regarding it, but there's a way for you to have your injuries addressed and to also seek and obtain the compensation that you deserve.
So for additional information, we always highly recommend for you to call our office. The number is listing below, but I can repeat it for you. It's 904-307-3888, 904-307-3888, or you can reach us on our website, www.himlawfl.com. The question the viewer asked, what should Florida driver know about uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage?
Well, I want to thank whoever asked that question for asking it, and we probably might need to have a whole show on that
for that,
another
yes.
time. But the main thing is that insurance it's mandatory, it's required by law, but a lot of people don't have it.
You just have enough to drive.
And then there are those that do have, they just have the bare minimum of what's required by law. So what uninsured motorist coverage is the insurance that you get with your insurance coverage to cover you and your passengers in the event that someone causes injury to you and that person does not have insurance. Now, underinsured is the same thing, but that person may have inadequate insurance. It doesn't cover enough. Let's say that their coverage is $10,000, but your medical expenses is $50,000. So what do? This is a coverage that you need. It's a coverage that I personally carry, and I personally suggest that everyone obtain it. It's not required by law. The law doesn't require that. The law simply requires, protection of property and the very bare minimum. But, this is something that I think is very useful in the state of Florida.
I agree. Think about it.
Insurance is one of those things that in one sense you hope you never have to use, but if the situation happens, you definitely want to be sure that you have it.
Exactly. I don't want to say that is the last question because a lot of viewers, they really like the rapid fire questions. We're going to go to your rapid fire questions, okay? So the last question we do have that needs some answers, that need a longer answer. I would say that, what advice will you give someone who have been injured and doesn't know where to start?
Well, we've been talking about it from the beginning. Is that, first of all, prioritize and protect your health. do what you need to do to see the medical personnel as early as possible. You want to document everything, so you're going to need to communicate well with those medical professionals so that everything gets well documented. Also, something that we kind of talked about in our previous episode
Oh
in the
my
criminal
God, that
is to
one.
avoid
Social media.
Definitely,
Yes.
you want to do that. Don't talk about these things online because it can come back to
And
haunt you.
bite you.
Exactly. And then finally, you want to consult an attorney early on in the process so that they can help not only represent you, but help guide you and make sure that you're doing things the right way.
I agree. Avoid that, the one that we really need people to avoid social media. Because how can you tell the insurance that that is funny to me, that your back is broken, you got a lower back hurt, and then you posting picture that you're doing your backflip going to the pool.
Well, that sounds a fraud that you're talking about, but at the same time, like I said earlier, that these injuries may well impact the quality of you
Your
carrying
life.
on your life. It's not that you can't do anything, is that doing it's painful, etc. But these videos, this brings me to another point that you post on social media, etc. That's voluntarily showing, but when you're out and about in the public, realize that you may also be picked up on camera. That the opposing party in the state of Florida, the insurance company or opposing party, they have the right to hire
private
investigators, people that are undercover filming you, and you never know when and where they're filming you when you're out in public. So be aware of that. And so you're injured, and no one's necessarily expecting you to walk around cramped over, etc. But just be cognizant
of what's going on.
Yes, be aware that if you're an injured person, you may well be scrutinized about how you sat in the car, for example, or carried something.
A heavy box.
I'm not saying to walk around
unconscious,
looking a certain way necessarily, but just be aware.
Be aware. I don't want to say that question. Are you ready?
What you got?
Oh boy. So, any trial, before a trial, coffee or tea?
Neither for me.
Jury trial or settlement?
Depends on the case.
Negotiation or litigation?
Usually both.
Okay. True or false?
True.
If you feel if you feel okay after an accident, you don't need to go to the doctor.
That's false.
Okay. What is the first thing people should do after a car accident?
We've already talked about it. Take care of your health, prioritize your health, which usually means calling 911 first in this case, seeing a doctor, go to the emergency room if you need to, but get documentation of your medical injuries, and then you want to consult with your attorney.
One word to describe a personal injury, successful personal injury attorney. Caring. So, what more important, evidence or emotion?
Evidence when it comes to your case. Emotion when it comes to making people feel.
So both.
Helping people feel.
So both.
Both are important, but we need that evidence. Bring us the evidence.
Rapid fire will be the next topic. I would really want to say civil litigation.
Well, what do the people say? Have they sent in suggestions for what to cover next?
So usually it's after the show they're gonna send the suggestion. I think civil litigation should be, and then I think we should do both of them, civil and appeal.
Okay, so personal injury is a kind of civil litigation, but we're going to talk more about disputes, like contract disputes, business disputes, all those things that are not criminal, but it's two parties going against each other. How about that?
I like that. I really do.
Very good.
So let's do that. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. We appreciate it. We appreciate you taking your time to watch our show. Until next time, have a good day.
Your justice, our mission. When life's challenges come your way, you need someone to light the way. At David Lee